Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the HGUC or High Grade Universal Century Zeta II, or Zeta Gundam 2. So I've been actually wanting to try this kit for quite some time, but Gundam base would always have this, sold out and not in stock, so I wasn't able to try it out. But I decided to go get it from a different source, not the best prices, but still wanted to try it out. Alright, so basically a little bit backstory regarding this mobile suit is basically after the Zeta Gundam was made, obviously for engineers or technicians, they were trying to make an improved version of the Zeta Gundam, because as much as the Zeta Gundam was the success unit for having a mobile suit transform into a Wave Rider, there was still a problem where the transformation process was still very complicated. So they were experimenting on more simple versions of the transformation, and among them were the methuss. And the methuss was definitely a much more simple transformation, so I believe they used that same technology on the Zeta Gundam. So they combined the methuss transformation technology with the Zeta Gundam, hence the Zeta Gundam 2, or Zeta 2 was made. Of course, this was never actually fully mass produced or anything like that, so only a few units were made as far as I know. Other than this, I have some personal affection with this mobile suit because this was one of my main S-rank units that I used to use in the Gundam Capsule Fighter Online. Of course, that's no longer available, but still, yeah. Alright, so now let's get into the review. So, I was kind of aware that this was going to be sticker heavy, but not as sticker heavy as I thought. Only a few areas were sticker heavy, but they could be worked around if you ask me. Alright, so let's go over components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the unit itself, the mobile suit itself. Currently, I am using the multi-purpose hands on left and right. And here are the weapons/equipment that you're supposed to get. So number one, you get 2 clay bazookas, and keep in mind each clay bazooka has a left and right. You can see the clips are facing, the clip is on the inside of each section here, so you have to be aware of that aspect. I'll be demonstrating these later. And then you get 2 beam saber effect parts and hilts. So there's no way to actually store these onto the mobile suit or onto the kit as far as I know. Of course, I believe mechanical or lore wise, this is supposed to go into the side skirts or something like that. I believe there were still confusions going on with where these are supposed to go, but still they work pretty well. And just to clarify, you can actually use these beam saber effect parts on the rifles as well. So here we have a beam rifle. This is definitely looking like the same beam rifle as the Zeta Gundam. Now I'm assuming this is from the older mold because there's no extension here. I do know the new version actually can extend here, but still you can actually slap on the effect part onto the end tip if you want to do so. And we have some stickers on the rifle. So 1, 2, 3 times 2, 6 stickers here, and I already applied the trigger finger hand to save time. And here we have I believe this is a variant of the Mega Launcher. This is the Mega Beam Rifle. Very long compared to now to be fair, the Zeta Gundam Beam Rifle is technically a long rifle, but now here we have even a longer rifle. So I believe the only sticker here is the scope here. Now you do have to hold it in a very odd way, but still it works. And once again, the beam effect part also fits onto the end tip, so that's a pretty good bonus if you ask me. So once again, I'll be demonstrating these later as well. And here we have some parts. So let's talk with the stickers first. So here is the sticker sheet. It's nothing too bad. I mean, the only parts that's bad are the yellow parts, but I think they can be mostly colored easily. The only one I did not use is this one, which is basically a sticker where you have to wrap around a certain piece, which I believe is this area right over here. So you're supposed to wrap around this area, and I decided not to do that. Other than that, here I will try to point out where the stickers are supposed to go. The only part I don't like about the stickers is the eyes, because usually Gundam eyes would be a single piece sticker. In this case, this is not the first time for me experiencing this, but still I don't like them. Each eye, the left and right eye, are separate stickers, so if you mess up one side, then it's gonna look very awkward. And here we have some leftover polycaps, nothing too special about that. And then here we also have some parts. Now this is for an action base, so if you want to secure the Wave Rider form in the action base with the weapon, you need to use this. And then here we have another part. Now this is for the Wave Rider transformation that you have to use on the Mega Rifle. So yeah. And then yes, while the Zeta 2 capable of transforming. In the Gunpla form, this is actually one of those parts forming. So you get this block where basically if you want to transform, you have to basically take off as much as possible from the main body, like the arms, legs, backpack, chest, crotch piece, everything, and then slap it onto this block. So that's how it works. I'm not going to show you guys the process because that's going to be a very long video. Alright, so now let's get on to the articulation here. So definitely you can kind of see like the elements of the methuss. Of course, the build wise it's a very different kit because I did review the methuss as well, and definitely not the same build. Structure wise you could kind of see some similarities, but overall the build is very different. Alright, so let's start with the head. Definitely the head, you can definitely see the Zeta Gundam H design, but a much more sleeker design if you ask me. So obviously each section of the eyes are stickers, and then the head camera is a sticker, and there is one on the back, but the head does not really rotate that well, so I'm not going to be able to show you guys, but the head can go down and up, and we do have like a chicken neck movement here. Alright, and then let's look at the arms first. Now the arms is usually like most HGUC kits that has a parts forming gimmick, they would kind of slim on the shoulders, and I think they did the same thing on this one. But still, you do get a forward and backward movement here, which is, I believe, certain Wave Rider transforming kits did not have this, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. You still have a forward and backward movement. 360 is still technically possible if you can avoid that. You can go to the side about more than 90 degrees, and you still have a 360 twist on the lower arm, and bend wise we get pretty good. Not exactly double bend, but still more than 90 degrees. And hands are your typical ball jointed hands. Oops, there we go. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the arms. Let's look at the backpack. Now the backpack, we have a lot of parts going on here. Just to clarify, this is how you basically, there is a small clipping section right over here inside the backpack. So all you need to do is clip it onto the back, and there you go. You have the clay bazooka store on the back. Now, this is not the first time we're seeing this gimmick. Every time any moves that had a clay bazooka, you can actually store them onto the backpack by clipping on. Although I'm going to say these connections were never the best. I mean, they do stay on there, but sometimes it can feel awkward, or sometimes you can kind of get that insecure feel. So yeah, not the biggest fan of this storage type. And then I believe since you have to take these parts off for the transformation, these parts are on ball joints, and we have these parts that can flap up and down for some reason. Now, I believe the main middle is just connected there with multiple pegs, so no movement. Alright, now let's look at the main body. Now the main connection between the waist and the body is a ball joint, if I remember correctly. So we do have a slight side movement, but a lot of parts are colliding in the way, so you can't go 360. And thanks to that ball joint, we kind of get like a fake ab crunch here, although it's not really an ab crunch, but still you get the idea. And side skirts are in polycap ball joints. The way how they work is that you have a polycap ball joint, and there's a joint there. Now these yellow sections right over here, you see here on the side skirts, those are stickers. These are stickers. And on the body here, these parts, which I do find it a little bit odd because they're yellow. I think they would have looked better in the metallic green, because these places are usually meant for cameras, but they give you yellow stickers for some reason. Alright, and let's see, so that's that. So that's we have these one in the front and then back as well. Now for the front skirts, you can separate them if you want to do so. They're the connected ball joints. I did not cut them off for this this time. The legs are, you do have a nice side swivel going on here, and then you can go about less than 90 degrees because a lot of parts are colliding, especially with this knee pad right over here, because this does move, just keeping that in mind, but it does collide with the front skirts. And then essentially the front skirts can go more than 90 degrees. It's just that the legs or the sides are kind of colliding with each other, so it doesn't really go that much. You can go to the side, but once again, the side skirts are blocking the way. It's colliding with the main body, so you can't go. But let's say if we took it off, then you can go about more than that. And let's see, looking at that, and let's see what we got from the back. So here we have the back section right over here, looking pretty good if you ask me. These red sections here are stickers. Kind of odd, but I can kind of understand what they're going for, so that's that. Now the vents here for the legs here, these are actually color separated pieces, so they did a pretty good job on here. The only parts that they did not do well were the stickers. So on the backpack here, you have these sections here, which is also a sticker, so yellow sticker, so that's another 8 stickers around there. So, and then on the legs here, these yellow sections right over here, those are also stickers. So only bad stickers here are the yellow parts. If you ignore that, they're pretty good if you ask me. Now, for the legs, the part that I am not a big fan of is the feet. What on earth were they thinking with these feet? Now, I'm not blaming the company because the design was like this, so I can't really say much on it, but like, yes, I'm aware that this unit is not supposed to be walking around. Even in Gundam Battle Operations 2, these guys are like homing or roaming or like floating around. So yeah, but these feet are very awkward. They're high-heeled, but at the same time like double high-heel or something like that. So very odd. I'm not really sure what they were going with this. And I really don't see any benefit having feet like these. Alright, so we've seen the basic articulation on the kit, so let's see what we got for the weapons. So I'm going to demonstrate with the weapons that have the trigger finger hands already attached. So number one, let's look at the beam rifle, the Zeta Gundam Edge beam rifle. Even the manual, they just say this is the Zeta Gundam beam rifle. They just mentioned this as the beam rifle. It works, but the issue that I'm having is that these weapons are all overall long, so you have to do the, you have to connect the arm weapon first onto the hand, and then you have to make them go below the armpit section. I'm not the biggest fan of this, depending on the weapon, but yeah, it works, and I'm kind of surprised they gave you this weapon at the first place, because I am aware, like, all the games I played, none of them actually had this rifle as well. Most of them would have this rifle. So it still works. I mean, it's a good bonus, but I'm not going to be personally using it. Now this one, I definitely like the concept. I like the length and size of it, but once again, holding it does require some practice. I do need to basically figure out where it has to go through to get that exact position. But still, it works. I do like the bulk of it, the length of it, and it does look very powerful. Alright, so that's that. So I'll be right back with the clay bazookas, and after the clay bazookas, I'll be right back with the transformation. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the double clay bazooka. They're much more easier to handle compared to the other longer rifles. They work pretty well, and each bazooka has a different side of the connection point for the trigger finger, so do check that out as well. They work. I mean, I had no problems here. They do work well, and yeah, actually, in the Gundam Capsule Fighter Online back in the old days, they actually did. The Zeta II would actually use these weapons, and they were definitely much useful as well. So I really have no complaints about these as well, so they work. And then the only weapon that I haven't showed is technically the beam saber, so I'm just going to give you guys an example. It works pretty well. I mean, it holds onto the hand, and nothing too special regarding that. It's a beam saber, so we've seen these multiple times, and yeah. And once again, as I mentioned before, if you want to, you can always attach the beam saber effect parts onto the end part of the rifles if you want to do so. Alright, so now, since we've seen all the weapons that came with the unit, now we're going to transform this unit into its Wave Rider form. So as I mentioned, you basically tear down as much parts as possible onto the main from the main unit and slap it on to this entire block. So I'll be right back with that result. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the Wave Rider form, and next to it is basically the Zeta II, or the leftovers of Zeta II. So basically, the only interesting part I found regarding this is that you don't actually use the entire leg, you only use the lower leg. So back then, all the stuff I reviewed, I could be wrong, maybe except for maybe the exception for the Razihel, like the Delta Plus, the Zeta Plus, everything, the Delta Gundam, I believe they all actually use the legs, but in this case, only the lower legs. So definitely you can see the Zeta II has been stripped down of everything that's actually usable, maybe minus the crotch piece area, and here we have it here. Now I'm using a different action base because for God's sakes, why is Bandai still, or technically, well, granted this is an old kit, but I really hate it when they actually make these adapters and the holes are like inside this piece. Why couldn't they just make it outside? But still, for that reason, I'm just going to use this action base right over here. Action base is not included, just to clarify. Actually, let's just take this off. So here we have everything is attached to that block here. You can see the legs, the side skirts, the chest piece, the arms are right over here as well. Everything is attached here, and even the clay bazooka, and you can definitely see it's a much more compact look compared to the Zeta Gundam's Wave Rider form, and you can definitely see like how this later becomes like the standard for the Razihel. Now I've noticed also for like you need to have this piece for an action base. Without this, there's no places to actually attach an action base here, so that's definitely something you would need to take note of. And yeah, that's pretty much it, because once you're in a Wave Rider form, there's not much to do. I mean, it's a block. It's a block of stuff. So yeah. Now for now, I would suggest this for those who are a big fan of, mobile suits that are supposed to transform into Wave Riders or not. But still, if you're like collecting a specific line for the Zeta Gundam or the methuss, I would definitely recommend this as well. Of course, maybe for beginners, this kit may feel a little bit odd because of the transformation gimmick and especially the feet. Because while, as you saw in the previous part, the kit or the mobile suit is capable of standing on its own with those feet, it's just really awkward. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the review. This was the review of the HGUC ZII. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.